Shalom, Amir. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Very happy day today.
Very exciting day today. Very, very exciting day today in the morning. Tell me a little bit about who you are for my audience, so people can know who you are, where you're coming from.
So I'm a brigadier general retired from the IDF. I served 30 years in the army. I was in the Corps of Combat Engineers. I was also deputy division commander of the Gaza Strip, and I commanded the Egyptian border. After retiring, I founded a very well-known organization today in Israel called in English IDSF, Israel's Defense and Security Forum. It's a movement, a grassroots movement and think tank that deals with shaping the vision of what is needed to secure Israel for generations to come, what kind of national security we want. We are an organization that today is composed of more than 60,000 members, among them 7,000 officers, many high-ranking. We foresaw the war 2 years before, and unfortunately, although we talked about it a lot with the government and the defense establishment, they didn't listen to our threats. During the war, we really helped pushing Israel towards a decisive win, helping the government, the army, empowering the general public, and this is who we are.
So, Amir, I met you around a year ago, and I always remember this is the one thing that I've continued to hear from you for the last year is this idea of a decisive win in Gaza. Clearly, all of us are a little bit confused about this ceasefire deal. I'm curious, what are your takes now on this idea of a decisive win?
So I must say that when we talked at the beginning of the war about a decisive win, it was much, much bigger than Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, we defeated Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is on its knees. The Syrian regime fell. We destroyed the nuclear plans of Iran and defeated Iran in 12 days, degraded dramatically the Houthis, and took out of the equation also the Iraqi militias. Israel has been fighting in 7 different fronts. And of course, one of the main issues is the Gaza Strip. I can say that when I was looking at the dynamics in Washington, and I heard the 20 points and President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu talking, and I tried to frame what I'm seeing. It took me back many years ago to the Yalta Convention. By the way, I wrote about this today, an article in the Wall Street Journal. Yalta was a convention that was held in February 1945, 3 months before the surrender of the Nazis. 3 months before, it was crystal clear that the Nazis lost. So the leaders knew that it's game over. For the general public, it took a few months until it was obvious that there was a win and they surrendered. And knowing that the Nazis already lost, they did this convention in the Crim Island and talked about 2 things. What is Germany the day after, how they are going to divide Germany, and what is the new world order. And I think that what we saw in Washington and what we're witnessing now is Yalta 2025. It's exactly the same thing. It's a realization of all the countries, all the Arab countries, including, by the way, Turkey, Qatar, that Hamas lost. It's just a matter of time until the IDF would have completely eradicated them. And due to this reality, they need to move towards a new reality. And the 2 things that were discussed at the time in Washington were exactly parallel to Yalta. What is Gaza the day after? And now it's going to be divided, and it's going to be divided in a way. We'll discuss this now. And what is the new world order? What is this alliance, Western, Israeli, moderate Sunni alliance that will extend all the way to the Pacific, to Indonesia? There will be many, many peace agreements. There will be a coalition that will be created. And this coalition is created to create new safe routes of trade that will go through Israel, to counter Iran and China and Russia, this front that has emerged here in the last few years. And really, the supporters of Hamas Qatar and Turkey found themselves having to choose between two options. One option is the complete eradication of Hamas, and then the day after, Israel will do whatever it wants in Gaza with the US. Or the other option, they lay down their weapons, they get out of Gaza. They from their point of view, because they're supporters of Hamas, they manage to salvage, parts of the organization, release many prisoners of terrorists, and rebuild them somewhere else. It's similar to what we saw at the end of the first Lebanese war when the IDF conquered Beirut, the capital of Lebanon. For Arafat, it was game over. So he took his people on ships and left to Tunis. Later on, we are appearing again in Oslo and managing to fool Israel and come back victorious to Gaza. So they have patience. In Arabic, you call it sabr. They have patience. They look at the long term.
Yeah.
They say, okay, we lost this battle. We'll regroup, we'll reorganize somewhere else, and we'll come back. Later on, we'll fight in a different way. But while they're thinking about that, the region is moving towards peace agreements, and Israel stands very, very strong among the nations as a victorious country. Now, what enabled this? What made it reality that basically the Arab world admitted that Hamas lost? It's the fact that Israel conquered completely 80% of the Gaza Strip, and even in the remaining 20%, in 5% of the remaining 20%, the Gaza city itself, all the Gazans left and moved to the humanitarian zone. So basically 85% of the Gaza Strip was surrounded or conquered by Israel. And Israel is controlling the Egyptian border, Philadelphia, Rafah, surrounding Hamas from all directions. And then we started seeing clans and militias fighting Hamas, fighting with the IDF, alongside the IDF against Hamas. Even in the areas that Hamas controlled, you had like 10 militias fighting Hamas in coordination with the IDF. Mm-hmm. So there was like a revolution inside the Gazan society. And in this reality, it was obvious that at any given time, Hamas will collapse. They needed to stop this and recalculate what they're going to do. Now, look what kind of deal we achieved. We achieved a deal where Israel gets all the hostages, which is the only thing that really keeps Hamas alive. They are holding to the hostages. They're giving us all the hostages. And after we get all the hostages, Israel is still in 53% of the Gaza Strip, surrounding Hamas completely from all directions. Most of the Gaza Strip is still in Israeli hands. And now they need to lay down their weapons and get out of Gaza. They are surrounded. Any entry or going out is through Israel. Israel controls everything. So it's a reality that is not sustainable for Hamas. Even if they try to try to pull us, they want to stay, Israel can always start moving even further in and very fast control again 3/4 of the Gaza Strip. Also, Gaza needs reconstruction. There will be no reconstruction without them they're laying down their weapons and the demilitarization of the Gaza Strip. So, yes, it feels to people like, what's going on? We see Hamas, still operating. We see, their people spread in different places. But it's not something viable for the long term. And as this is happening and we'll deal with the demilitarization, the region will move towards peace agreements in a completely different reality globally. And Israel, the Israeli Prime Minister is saying again and again, Hamas has two choices. It can happen the nice way or the hard way. So they need to choose what they want. Israel is not going to let them stay in Gaza. And in a way, the moment they gave up their only asset,
The hostages.
it's pretty much an unconditional surrender.
Correct. Now, Amir, you have a very, very optimistic, and this is why I love talking to you, because you have such an optimistic outlook on the Middle East, obviously through strength and resilience and war, that we have to get to those points, but you have a very optimistic look. Do you think, and this is the part that concerns me the most and my audience the most, from what I understood through back channels, Trump gave Qatar and Turkey some security guarantees that the war would not reignite. I don't know what those are backed up on, but do you see this ceasefire holding? And if Hamas jeopardizes it, do you think we actually go back to fighting again?
So I think there is a difference between war and continuous fighting. I mean, there will be. I'm sure that there is a good chance that there will be clashes, and we'll have to continue degrading them and so on. But we signed the ceasefire with Hezbollah, with Lebanon, and within this ceasefire, we are attacking every day.
That's also right.
Now, nobody is talking about it as a war. Nobody is saying we are in a war with Lebanon or Hezbollah, right? But there isn't almost a single day where they are not attacked. So I think that this is the kind of reality that Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump are pushing. They are saying, yes, there is a ceasefire, but Israel is able to enforce the ceasefire, meaning if they don't lay down their weapons, if they don't do what they need to do, Israel will act. And as I said, Israel has, and the U.S. also, we have, both countries, we have a lot of tools which are not necessarily just kinetic, to really pressure Hamas and put them in a position where they have no choice but to get out of Gaza. And I think that really the way that I imagine this will happen is that Gaza, it will take time, the dismantle things, it will for a long time. But as this is happening, not on a war scale, the region will move towards peace agreements. So it's going to happen in a parallel way, and they will try to find the golden path where on one hand you are moving to achieve the goals of war in Gaza, but not in a way that creates a reality like there is a big war, going on, but in a different way. And they'll move to this peace agreements. Now, look, my optimism, my endless optimism, is based on one thing: the people of Israel. I mean, I believe in us. I believe in our strengths. I believe in our spirit. I believe in our resolution, and I believe that peace is achieved through strength. And this is something that is respected in the Middle East. When you are strong, people want to side with you. And it's not just about the Middle East. I can tell you that from 48 all the way to the Six-Day War, when Israel was not perceived as a strong country, the relations with the U.S. were not good. The U.S. most of the time embargoed us.
Right.
And only in the big victory of the Six-Day War, suddenly the U.S. realized that Israel is the regional power, and the relationship changed. Relationship on the international level are based mostly on power, on strengths. And if you are strong, you are interesting. I can tell you that in Europe, for example, we see all the challenges that Israel faced lately with part of the European countries, but at the same time, Europe is terrified from Russia. Many countries are afraid from a Russian invasion. We see Russian UAVs in Denmark, in Norway, Poland, and so on. And they rely a lot on Israeli capabilities. They are purchasing huge amounts of capabilities from Israel. And this is more important to them than anything else because it's their lives at stake. So I think the relationship also with many, many countries in Europe is going to strengthen dramatically, especially looking at these peace agreements, which will really change dramatically the way Israel is perceived globally.
I really, really hope that your optimism comes to fruition, because every time I speak to you, I get a little bit more hope in the region in our fight. Amir, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. This is Amir Avivi from the Israel Defense and Security Forum, IDSF. If you don't follow them already, follow them on YouTube, on Instagram. They're incredible, not just in what they do for Israel, but in their support for creators like me. They take us out on trips to understand Israel from a better layout, and Amir is an incredible person in this space. I want to thank you again so much, Amir, and have
My
an
pleasure.
amazing day. See you, man.
Thank you very much.
Chag Sameach. Goodbye.
Chag Sameach.
That was incredible analysis by Amir Avivi. It is an honor and a pleasure. Many of you guys may not know who Amir Avivi is, but he is huge in the space here in Israel. He's massive. He's very, very famous. He's on TV often, and I thank him so much for coming on here again. Thank you so much to my friend Eden for connecting between the two of us and bringing him on here.